Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. A good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning, having a great start to that Sunday and a great weekend out there so far. Got you an update on what's going to happen weather-wise for your Sunday. We'll get detail for you folks, talk about some rain. A lot more rain could fall in some areas. It's already seen a lot of rain, unfortunately. We'll talk on that, get detailed with who can see what. We're dealing with some freezing rain this morning, a little bit of winter weather, some snow, some ice, maybe some sleet in certain areas. We'll talk about who could see more of that today. Pretty dynamic weather out there. I was looking at the radar out of Amarillo, and just south of Amarillo, you have some lightning and thunder mixing with some of these cold temperatures. So you actually have like some freezing ice, if you will. It's kind of a made-up term, falling, where you probably have some freezing rain falling and temperatures just in the low 30s. And, some of this rain could be freezing on contact, but you got some lightning and thunder with it too. So very convective atmosphere where this boundary is. So it's crazy boundary out there. You got a boundary pretty much separating well above average temperatures, a little bit of moist air. And north of that boundary, you have temperatures that are pretty below average. Temperatures are quite chilly. And once you get pretty far north of this cold front, it gets downright frigid for certain areas for this time of the year. So we'll talk about all into the video. We'll give you a pretty good update on the tropics. Listen, unfortunately, the tropics, even though we're entering the last day or so of October, getting into early November, where hurricane season significantly winds down, we are still talking about the tropics and not so much Tammy, but we're watching an area that could become vents sometime in the next 12 to 24 hours. Not going to affect anybody. But then we're also watching areas of the Caribbean that could get active. We'll speak on that in this video and try to figure it out. And then, guys, as we enter early November, the first half of November, I'm really watching a lot of energy flying around. Some more shots of cold air. I think it could be an active first couple weeks in November. We're going to talk about that in much detail in tonight's video. So stay tuned for that. I'll most likely have you a video for this evening like we normally do on Sunday evenings. Just trying to get you prepared for the week and what's coming up. So with that being said, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. Have not answered the comments from yesterday morning's video, but I will get to that sometime today. If you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put it in the comments below so I can pray over it, and I promise you, others will pray over it too. Let's get rolling here. We got the clicker working, so we're good to go. I would say the cold front is somewhere around into this region right into here, probably give or take 100 miles. But I would say it's a little bit further south in Texas because areas around the Dallas-Fort Worth area have already cooled down. So it's probably a little bit further south down here in this region. But anyways, just in general, all the energy is kind of flying along this area that I drew with the embedded arrows in it. A lot of cold air up here. I would say the cold air isn't as potent as it was over the last couple of days, but you're still waking up to sub-freezing temperatures across the northern portion of the lower 48. You're dealing with still a warm, moist atmosphere on this side of the boundary, and right along it, you're probably dealing with some sort of weather. And that is because this is where the jet is sagging, so all the moisture is going along this boundary. It's kind of like where the road network, the avenue of all the energy flies through the embedded low pressures, things like that. We're dealing with some freezing rain, still a little bit of snow, still got snow falling in Colorado. You guys have to let me know. Let me know your totals, what you're seeing out there. You seeing a glaze of ice? How many inches of snow have you seen in Denver? I haven't heard much from that area. I'm sure I will as the sun's coming up and we start to get totals coming in. Let me know how much snow you've seen around the metro area. That is a Denver metro. That's a tough area to forecast snow. Sometimes it overperforms, sometimes it underperforms, but more oftentimes than not, it never is right along where they forecast. It's just a tough area to forecast snow. But that's what's going on based off water vapor loop. As far as what's falling from the sky, there is the snow falling in areas of Colorado still. Some of this is probably not falling as heavy as it looks, but you're still dealing with a little bit of winter weather in areas of northern Kansas, southern Nebraska, and Iowa. Let me know if any of this snow is hitting the ground in southwestern Wisconsin. The cold air is finally entrenched now into the UP of Michigan. So really anything that gets going later on today with this really deep cold air that flies over Lake Superior will probably be in the form of lake effect snow, and we'll talk about that for you folks in the UP. But as you can tell, look at this stripe of just on and off moderate to heavy rain. I mean, it's raining pretty good, a very rainy start to your Sunday morning for the Northeast. Even some embedded cold air now working its way down, and I mean, it might be snowing in some of these higher elevations of the Adirondacks. In fact, you got winter weather advisories up in northern Maine, and I think you guys are in northern Maine going to have a white Halloween, if that's a thing. But you know, southeast, still not much rain at all. Cold air up here. As far as Storm Prediction Center, just a general risk of thunderstorms in these light green areas. What I want you to notice here, look up here in Marquette. Okay, you got a risk of thunderstorms. But guys, if y'all getting any kind of thunderstorms off of Lake Superior today, it'll be thunder snow. So that's a very interesting thing to watch today as the cold air begins to work over the warmer compared to the air temperature bodies of water up here, if that makes sense. But this will ride over Lake Superior. It'll kick off the lake effect snows for a period of time. And some of these will be convective in nature, maybe a clap of thunder, some lightning out there. Be interesting to watch if this actually occurs a little bit later today into tonight. But as far as severe weather, not really a storyline today. But flooding could become another big deal today. I don't know. I never saw any massive flooding issues yesterday. But of course, you never know for each individual region, right? So there is a slight risk which extends down into east central areas of Texas, through northeast Texas, through southeast Oklahoma, to the heart of Arkansas, to the Boot Heel, Missouri, western sections of Tennessee, all the way up into southern areas of Indiana and Illinois and western Kentucky. So that means you have at least a 15% risk of flash flood guidance being exceeded within this yellow area. So a lot of rain will fall again. Country is littered with watches and warnings. This purple color right here, that is freeze warnings. Okay, so a lot of areas will, if you haven't got your first freeze yet, will certainly get it, or experiencing it right now. We'll certainly get it tonight. Freeze watches in this light blue. So cold air is coming for Kentucky after this rain clears out. Winter weather advisories extending all the way down deep into Texas. I mean, all the way down that Interstate 27 corridor, all the way down to just about, in fact, it might be including, no, I don't think it's including Midland, but it is including Lubbock. So, you know, you continue to see just a little bit of freezing drizzle out there. Very interesting setup for sure. And then we still got winter weather advisories up for western Kansas, eastern areas of Colorado, and areas of Nebraska. Winter storm warning still ongoing in areas of Colorado. But this cold air will continue to sink. If you notice, winter weather advisories up for northern Maine. You guys could get a few to maybe several inches of snow in certain areas right in the last couple of days of October. We'll talk about that in detail here in a second. So let's talk about the southeast first. Not a whole lot going on in the immediate southeast. You could have some downpours that could make their way into extreme southern sections of Florida. But this rain, with the boundary moving closer and closer, is starting to move closer into the actual region of the southeast. So, you know, I think Memphis will be pretty quiet most of the day, but I think rounds of rain will continue to move into western areas of Kentucky. And we'll speak on kind of Arkansas here on the south central frame. But as far as the rest of Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Carolinas, I mean, today, no real rain expected. This is starting to make its way, though, east. And as you can tell, it goes from more so just southwest to northeast. It starts moving due east. And we're waking up tomorrow morning, I think, to a little bit of rain in Nashville, much needed rain in northern Louisiana. And hopefully this is much more widespread down in Louisiana than it looks. But as far as weather today, it'll be a nice day if you got anything going on. And it'll be warm. It was warm yesterday. I was like, sheesh, it is warm out here yesterday here in the Carolinas. It was almost uncomfortable, but at the same time, enjoying it just because, you know, you don't have a whole lot of warm days left, but I'm definitely a cold weather fan. Up here in the northeast, a big slug of moisture is working its way through Pennsylvania, New York State. This will continue. Rain will continue to fall throughout the morning. What I want you to notice here is a little bit of snow mixing in with these higher elevations in Vermont, New Hampshire, the Adirondacks of New York State. And this continues, but this is just pretty much a chilly rain down here in southern New England. So rain will begin to overspread about midday southern New England, all the states associated with southern New England. And you got rain still falling back here in Pennsylvania. Just a soggy day in the northeast. You could get a break sometime in Ohio. I think you get some showers that fly through West Virginia. A little break in Ohio later on, western PA, but I think even some more rain begins to work its way through. I think it'll be raining most of the day for southern New England, like, you know, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island. I think if it's not raining, it'll just be damp. Just another weekend of rain in the Northeast. I didn't even think about that, how you're getting another rainy weekend, but here it is. And then a little break. You see that little door opens up, or you get a little break sometime tonight. And then as we're getting into tonight and to tomorrow morning, another slug of moisture moves through, and you're waking up tomorrow morning again in Ohio, northern West Virginia, all of Pennsylvania, western Maryland, New York State, just about all of the Northeast with some sort of moisture type. You go to extreme northern sections of New York State, this could be falling in the form of snow. But you get into Maine, guys, you're waking up to a snowy morning for your October 30th. I mean, it is snowing pretty good. In fact, you keep this going, I think it'll snow most of the morning, most of the early afternoon into the evening for these folks. And then we could get some lake effect energy that gets going. But this could drop some considerable amount of snow up here for late October standards. But moisture just between now and the next 48 hours, you know, no 3 to 4 inches of rain or anything now. I mean, you can get 1 to 2 inches of rain here in Pennsylvania, but, you know, all of New York State, especially the southern half, I mean, just between now and Tuesday morning, I went all the way out to Tuesday morning, the morning of the last day of October. I mean, anywhere from a half inch to an inch of rain is possible for just about anybody in the Northeast. Now, this precipitation up here in northern Maine could fall in the form of snow. This is snowfall predictions between now and the next 48 hours. You could get some embedded areas that get 6 inches of snow, but you're good for about 3 to 5 inches of snow. Caribou, you guys could get, you know, 3 inches of snow. I mean, I think it's very possible. I know it's not as highly populated up here, a bunch of probably smaller towns and communities up here. But you guys will certainly, I'm just trying to figure out some towns on Google Maps here, but man, there ain't a lot at all. I mean, most people know Caribou, but yeah. So if you live in the northern counties in Maine, accumulating snow is going to move in tonight, probably late tonight into the wee hours of the morning. I try to mention towns and things on the fly. I've gotten pretty good with kind of looking at my phone down here and kind of spitting out some towns. I don't want to leave anybody hanging out. I know there's a lot of small towns and communities that probably get totally whiffed on from local meteorologists, but I try to mention them. So let's talk about the South Central U.S. I want to show you guys this. This is real-time temperatures right now. Look at Texas doing Texas things. We've seen this a lot, but this is very impressive. I mean, Houston down to Corpus Christi, down to Brownsville, Texas. You're waking up to temperatures like in the middle of summer. Okay, temperatures in the upper 70s. Somebody just might not even be below 80 degrees along the Texas coastline. You get to the heart of Texas, there's a stout boundary setting up. You know, if you live in, San Antonio, you're on the warm side, but, you know, you go up to Abilene and, you know, temperatures only in the upper 30s, low 40s. You go up to Amarillo, sub-freezing temperatures. Dallas, Fort Worth, cold front has moved through. You're on the cooler side now, waking up to some chillier conditions. But what's wild here is you look at these areas right here. And then you look at the radar out of Amarillo, right? This is probably falling in the form of some light freezing rain in Amarillo. But hopefully, if you look really closely, there was some lightning bolts earlier in the Paducah, Texas region, kind of just south of Childress. That is what I would say probably some freezing rain falling, but in the form of like thunder ice, like you have frozen precipitation falling, and it's convective enough to be like a thunderstorm of it. So pretty wild stuff out there for sure. And we kind of zoom. Oh wow, we didn't want to zoom out that much. Sheesh, my mouse is weird, guys. But I mean, you got reports of freezing rain just outside of Oklahoma City. Freezing rain falling just southwest of Enid. I think that's how you pronounce it in Oklahoma. So definitely a lot of fog right near the boundary. That's not fog. That is homes or buildings filled with water. Typically, sometimes that can be a foggy thing right there. But yeah, got some flooding situations ongoing northeast of Dallas. That's no good. But frozen precipitation up here in the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas is falling. So let's get back to this and let's talk about how it can unfold today. And, A-R-M-A is doing pretty well. We got snow still falling up in Colorado. Watch how the snow just evolves throughout the day, just kind of rides down the front range. And then I think it diminishes as we get into early this afternoon. At the same time, I think you'll continue to deal with some light frozen precipitation here in the panhandle of Texas, maybe as far north as southwest Kansas, panhandle of Oklahoma. What's going to be interesting today here is the cold air tries to chase this back in moisture. Could you get some sort of frozen precipitation into Kansas City a little bit later today? Well, it'll be interesting. Some embedded pockets of sleet, maybe some freezing rain mixing with just plain old rain in these areas kind of in western and west central and maybe even central Oklahoma. And you continue to keep this going, and there's a lot of rain, chilly rain falling in central and southwest areas of Missouri. This is around 7 p.m. this evening. Still raining in areas of Arkansas. Still raining flowing up into western Kentucky. Still raining up into southern areas of Illinois, Indiana. And you keep this going, and the boundary's finally getting a move on. But you still see these pockets of pink right here. And there's some higher elevations here in eastern Oklahoma. But you keep this going, guys, and you get into Monday morning. You're still dealing with rain in Texas. But there's enough little shallow Arctic air that's worked its way down here into southwest Texas to where, I mean, you might wake up to some pockets of freezing rain down here in southwest Texas, maybe western Texas in general. But, you know, it'll be an interesting day. You know, this freezing rain will continue, and just a closer look at Texas throughout the day. And like I said, this pink right here, this is sleet. I think we could get some sleet mixing in with this rain. You know, maybe temperatures hovering around just around the low to mid 30s. It's very possible, you know, if you live around, I mean, I would say even watch out Wichita Falls later today. I don't think this has caused any issues, but Lawton, certainly, you know, maybe up to Weatherford. I think you guys are already reporting a little bit of freezing rain close to that region, but, you know, I think you'll continue to deal with it around the Childress, Texas region. But, you know, even getting into about midnight, 1 a.m., I mean, look at these pockets of freezing rain right here. A little bit of sleet. I think this would be more so sleet. Still have a little bit of light snow falling in these regions. And, yeah, interesting setup for sure. We'll see what happens. You guys let me know if you're tuning in from the panhandle of Oklahoma or Texas or Kansas or anywhere, guys. But freezing rain totals between now and the rest of this event, maybe another few 1/100ths of an inch of ice is possible. You could get a little bit of a coating of snow from this. I think it's possible. Some additional snow is possible out here. Maybe a dusting of snow on this glaze of ice in certain areas with temperatures, you know, in the low 30s. This will probably not to melt on contact. I imagine with so much colder that's kind of sinked in now, this will probably put a pretty decent glaze on everything. And, you know, if you already have a glaze of ice up there and you got a little bit of snow that falls on it, that'll make it very easy for this snow to stick if you can get just one snow shower. So it probably looks pretty out there, but it's dangerous. So let me know what you're seeing out there. I would love to know, especially in this section of the country right here, and certainly up in Colorado. And to speak of Colorado, I'll do this on the fly here. You know, between now and let's see right here. Between now and the next 24 hours, I mean, an additional heavy amount of snow could fall down here into, somebody said I pronounced Pueblo wrong, and I'm pretty sure I did, so I do apologize. You guys know that you guys can correct me all day in the comments, and I really appreciate it. I do. Yeah, all y'all do it respectfully, and I appreciate it. But for whatever reason, it doesn't materialize into the video. I still end up brain farting and forgetting how to pronounce something. So y'all keep correcting me. It helps out. But Colorado Springs could continue. I'm seeing some traffic issues for sure on what is that? Interstate 25 right there. But I mean, you can even get a little bit of snowfall accumulation outside of the mountainous regions. So see if we can get a dusting of snow here. Even some snowfall could fall into the northern mountains of New Mexico. So rainfall between now and the next 24 hours, an additional widespread accumulating rain out here. You know, somebody can get anywhere from a 1/4 inch to another inch of rain throughout Texas, but it definitely looks more scattered out here. But you look at southeast Oklahoma, certainly more widespread heavy rains expected again, 1 to 2 inches of rain. Somebody could get 3 inches of rain. So up here in Arkansas with waves of rain moving through throughout the entire period today, another 2 to 3 inches of rain is possible. I think, you know, if you live in Arkansas, I think the heaviest rain would be from Little Rock points north up into Conway, Russellville, Fort Smith, all the way up to Jonesboro, all the way up into the Boot Hill, Missouri. Anywhere from 2.5 inches of rain is possible. You know, if you live up here in Dyersburg, I believe it's what it's called, Martin, Tennessee, an inch, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of rain is possible. Paducah, Kentucky, same kind of deal, inch inch and a quarter, 2 inches of rain. Extreme southern sections, Carbondale, maybe up to Mount Vernon, Illinois. You guys could get, another half inch to an inch of rain, certainly. And then, another half inch to an inch of rain is possible in pretty much all of southern Missouri. I would watch in the southwest sections of Missouri today. Maybe a little winter weather tries to mix in. I don't think it'll be a big deal, though. Starting off this morning in the north central range, an area of rain will make it into Chicago a little bit later today. This will be a chilly rain for our folks, your neighbors down here in western Illinois, even into Iowa. You could get some mixed winter weather, maybe a little snow, maybe a little freezing rain, sleet mix in with this. Is very possible. But another round of moisture will make it in around dinner time across Michigan, the southern half of Michigan today. Maybe if you get to the northern portion of Michigan before you enter the UP, this could mix with a little bit of snow. It's quite possible, but it looks like you get a little bit of a break today for, you folks down here in Indiana, Ohio, Illinois, but then the rain begins to take over later this afternoon, this evening again, probably in the form of some light to moderate rain. We get into overnight tonight. You start to see that snow showers in the form of probably snow squalls coming off Lake Superior. It's cold enough in northern Michigan for any leftover moisture to fall in the form of snow. And then look at Lake Superior doing its thing for the first time this year. These look like some heavy snow squalls to get going later this evening and then really get going here. I think some heavy snow could fall in the favored areas for the lake effect snow regions. So the machine's about to pop off. You're going to get some energy that's going to start to make its way out of Canada into the Dakotas and Minnesota. And we'll talk about that later tonight. But snowfall just between now and the next 24 hours. Okay, so if you live up here in this little area, what is that, Halton? What is that, Copper Harbor? I think you guys could get in probably tonight a couple inches of snow. But if you live down here in, I'm going to try my best, guys. Steven, you got to help me, man. Baraga? Yeah, there's some crazy names down here. Iron River, maybe. A couple inches of snow is possible. But then you take it into Monday morning, into Tuesday morning, okay? The game kind of changes, and this snow starts to really add up. Somebody's going to get over a foot of snow. It's going to be a snowy, snowy Halloween for trick-or-treating out there. But even look at this. Look how you're starting to get a dusting of snow flying in out of Canada. I think certain areas are going to see snow on Halloween. I mean, there's even, we take it all the way into the evening of the 31st, guys. Okay? And the National Weather Service going for a dusting of snow into Milwaukee down to just about Chicago. Could get an inch of snow on the ground for the 31st in Wisconsin. We'll talk about all this tonight. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here. But yeah, interesting setup coming up with like a little clipper that's moving down behind this cold air. So rainfall, though, don't want to leave you folks out. Additional rain down in Kentucky again, especially as we get into the second half of the 24 hours. Evansville, Louisville, Lexington, Frankfort, Elizabethtown, Owensburg, up in Cincinnati. Another 1 to 2 inches of rain all the way up into Ohio, Columbus, Dayton. You guys, certainly going to get more rain, especially when we get into the second half of the next 24 hours into tonight, really. So more rain into Indianapolis, not quite as much rain as your neighbors to the south. Areas of southern Indiana, southern Illinois can pick up a good bit of rain. So more rain moving in. Western U.S., it's quiet, guys. There ain't really much to speak on. Yeah, just quiet weather. It's going to start to warm up if you're hugging the West Coast. Still hanging on to those chilly temperatures, though, today in areas of the northern Rockies and the Rockies in general, Pacific Northwest. But it's a pretty quiet day as far as precipitation, weather falling from the sky. Not a whole lot going on, guys. All right, I told y'all in the beginning of the video, I'm telling you folks, if you live from Washington, D.C., Baltimore, points south down to Florida, I'm going to spit out some names, Roanoke, Richmond, Washington, D.C., the Delmarva region, Dover, Charlotte, Raleigh, Asheville, Chattanooga, Knoxville, Columbia, Charleston, South Carolina, down here to Savannah, Macon, Georgia, Tallahassee, Birmingham, Huntsville, Jackson, Mississippi, Meridian, down here to, I can spit them all out, guys. Baton Rouge, Monroe, Louisiana. Yeah, enjoy it today, guys. Nashville, too. You're hanging on by a thread. Enjoy these temperatures. Get out. get out there and enjoy it. Even if you're not a warm weather fan, it's not going to last long. You can see the temperature gradient. These are around high temperatures a day. I mean, look at the temperature gradient. I mean, look at Houston getting up to close to 90 degrees, but you just go right up the road. You're only in the 50s. Okay, so this is coming. The cold air is coming. It's crashing down. So temperatures, but you're still very chilly up here in the Midwest. You're setting the stage for a wintry time period. But about to sneeze. Temperatures out west are starting to warm up a little bit more if you're hugging the immediate west coast. But the northern plains, there it is. Thank y'all. But the northern plains and northern Rockies, you're still froze up. But you're starting to get back to above freezing areas in Montana. But you know, the more snowpack that you got in these regions, guys, the harder it is for it to warm up in some of these areas. But it's going to be froze up in Denver today. Very chilly temperatures across that plains just in general today. All areas of the plains. So let's give you an update on the tropics. So look at this little thing right here. All right, and let's see if we have an update. We do not, but look at that. I'm glad I updated it because we're going to talk about this here in a second. I'm glad that I updated it. And typically I miss it, and I always get frustrated with myself. But we got Invest 96L. It's saying that this has a chance to form into a short-lived tropical depression or storm. Next name, I believe, is Vince. I believe, and I think that's the last name of the hurricane list, and we go into some other list of names, which I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to look into that before I do the video tonight. Maybe the Greek alphabet or something, or we restart over a regular alphabet. But anyways, guys, here it is. I mean, it looks like just a blob of energy out there. It looks like a tropical wave. It's bringing some unsettled weather for Puerto Rico, it looks like, but it's mainly north of Puerto Rico and certainly well east of the Bahamas. And yeah, we'll see if this develops in events later on today. I'll be very interested if it does, but this has no chance of affecting the southeast. And the reason is because this cold front that we've been talking about like crazy is going to dig down to the southeast, completely protect this from doing anything for the southeast. So we're good here. This will be short-lived and eventually will fade out. So like I said, we have this also. This has a 20% chance. This is hot off the press, guys. This upgrade at 8 a.m., which was 2 minutes ago. Okay, this has a 20% chance to develop it. Gradual development, therefore, is possible while the storm moves generally westward. We got to watch this. For my folks in Jamaica, Cuba, Central America, if you're tuning in, you need to watch this, okay? We'll get more detail on this tonight, but we'll show you the latest run from the GFS. When we get to this time of the year, it is hard for anything to even get into the Gulf of Mexico. We're into November, troughs, cold fronts dig all the way into the Gulf of Mexico. But we need to watch this, okay? And we move deeper into the first couple days in November. Okay, we're into this coming Friday, right? This is just a big area of energy. And look at this. Huge, lot of moisture down here in the Caribbean. But eventually, this does try to develop, tries to form into a tropical system, and then runs into areas of Central America. What part of Central America? No point in getting super detailed with that right now. But this, if you live in Central America, I would watch this. We saw what happened in 2020 with those hurricanes. We need to watch this system for sure. But nothing, that we need to freak out about right now. But, the GFS does show something forming by the weekend. The European kind of shows something too. Just a lot of energy down here. Okay, watch it. Here it goes. You see the L periodically kind of popping up. Then we get into Friday, and there's that energy, and this basically never has a chance to form, thankfully, but that could change. Throws a lot of tropical moisture into Central America. So we'll watch this area. The GFS last night showed a scary run that we really hope would not happen for our folks in like Cuba, near Jamaica. But we just got to continue to watch this. It's nothing to freak out about, but that's why we're here, to continue to pump out updates. But the GFS ensembles, it does show a very sloppy signal for something getting going down here. It does, and the European does too. The European not as strong, but there is a signal of something getting going down here. So we will watch this. Quick update on the temperatures. Guys, Halloween will be a weird day for the Carolinas and Georgia. It really will, especially for the Carolinas. For example, my state here in South Carolina, I think it's going to be a day where temperatures along the coast might get into the 60s and 70s. But if you live in Greenville, Spartanburg, you might not get out the 50s. But regardless, by November 1st, and here it is, we're getting into the last day of October. Okay, 31st. You're waking up, hanging on to above average temperatures for dear life. Another warmish morning for the Carolinas. But by the time you get into early afternoon, cold front begins to move in. And for example, you could wake up to around average kind of low time temperatures for Virginia. But by the time you get into the afternoon, the GFS ensemble is showing it 20 degrees below average for 1 p.m. on the 31st of October. Okay, so it's going to be a wild day. I think there'll be a wild temperature gradient somewhere in Georgia and the Carolinas. Okay, but regardless, as we move into November 1st, to me, November 1st is Christmas. It's Christmas time for me. But man, it is going to feel like it. Okay, you're going to wake up November 1st to temperatures 20 degrees below average for Nashville and everybody surrounding, Birmingham, Jackson, Little Rock. Yeah, cold air settles in for the first several days of November. And then we were thinking we were going to enter another warmer period, but I don't know about that now. I don't know about that. So stay tuned. I got y'all covered this evening, and we'll get you guys updated on what's to come. God bless all y'all. Have a great Sunday, and I'll talk to you later.